At last, we have finally reached our final destination. This is Dark Castle. Now, I want to take this time to actually talk about a few important things that have kind of been going on in my life, and I think it's important to talk about them, not only because I think they do impact and directly affect my performance and my commentary in the videos that I put out. And the Dark Castle is the longest level in the game, so we're going to be spending quite a bit of time traveling through various stages and getting through the rest of the game, so I figured it would be the perfect time to go ahead and talk about a few things. Now, I want to start off by saying I very much love and enjoy making this content that I have been putting out on YouTube. And although I don't have a significant fan base or subscriber counts or view counts or anything like that, it really does not make a difference to me because this has become kind of a hobby of mine that I really have a lot of passion in continuing. And although my long-term goal is to grow the channel out and have more entertaining and interesting, commentary and content, I think it's important to be more honest and share more about myself to maybe people that are subscribed to my channel, or even if you're just watching this and you're just a casual viewer of my videos. So this is something that I am probably not going to do in many videos, but I think from time to time it's important to just kind of open up a little bit more. Now, 2 years ago, I went through kind of a time in my life that I never thought I would ever go through. And because of that, it put me in a whole different perspective, and I started to think about things in a whole different way, and how people sometimes struggle in life and they go through hard times, and it can happen to me, it can happen to you, it can happen to anybody. So it kind of opened my mind up a lot more to just focusing on enjoying the little things and all the good things that I have in my life. And the one thing that I immediately went to kind of distract me or to help me through the hard times was playing video games, because it was something I did a lot as a child growing up, and it was something that always kind of soothed my brain and gave me that guaranteed peace and safety in a way. And I think that coming back to it after so many years, and I've always gamed, I've always been a gamer, but I really went back to it a lot more and focused on it a lot more than I ever have in the past, and it really allowed me to kind of calm down and kind of rebalance myself and really take a look at myself in my life and what I needed to improve and what I needed to do better at. And I think that does impact the content that I am putting out, because I think in the early days, honestly, I've only been making content on YouTube for a little over a year. And I think even though it hasn't been a long time at all yet, even like the earlier videos I had put out, I think I would say that I was faking some of the excitement, some of the enjoyment in my commentary, and I'm not saying that I didn't enjoy playing the games or putting certain videos out there, but that was something that I very much love doing and will always enjoy doing, and I would not be doing this if I did not thoroughly enjoy it and have fun doing it. But to be honest, yeah, a lot of my commentary from the earlier videos, I would say, in the earlier games that I Let's Played, was a little forced and may have came off that way at certain times. And I don't want it to be like that all the time, but there's definitely going to be times again in the future where I might be having a bad day, or maybe something happens in my life that maybe affects the way I speak or the way I think, and I might just have other things going on in my brain, but I don't want that to be a normal thing that happens. We're all human, we all make mistakes, we all have experiences in life, and sometimes not all of those experiences are positive, and that's just the honest truth, and that's just how life works. So I think just overall the point I'm trying to make is, everybody goes through things, and I think it can impact your work or your content, depending on what type of career you have. If you're maybe a social media influencer, if you're a content creator on YouTube, all of those things are affected by our everyday life. So I think it's important to just be able to, be honest and open if you have a fan base that watch or engage with your content, to let them know that, sometimes you're not okay, and it's okay to not be okay and not have a great experience in life at times. But if you hide it or compartmentalize it, it can be destructive to your life because it can make things worse. I think the best way to deal with problems in life, honestly, and this may just be my personal opinion, is to be open. And if you can talk to people, do that, but not everybody has that opportunity, and I understand that. However, I think it is important to at least, if you can, confront any feelings or any negative experiences head on and just face them, and essentially just kind of own that you're having a rough time and you will get through it. Because not everything lasts. If there's any lessons that I've ever learned in life and any facts that I know are true, this is definitely one of them. Nothing is permanent. Everything is temporary. So I think that's a very important lesson in life that I learned, and I'm sure many people have learned out there as well. So I just wanted to kind of take a little bit of time to kind of talk about that. And I'm not a very open person when it comes to sharing feelings or talking about things, or if I'm going through a hard time, being able to communicate my feelings about the situation, or taking the time to kind of analyze it. That's just never been within my skill set or within my personality, and it's something I want to work on. And I think I can get there if I just take simple steps to make that happen. However, I do think that it may have impacted my content in the past. It might even be currently. But I think if I overcome that and know that I can pull myself out of the difficult situation, because I know I can. And it may just take time, it may take resources, it may just take more support. But overall, I will overcome it. And I think that will directly impact my content and maybe affect it in a way that, I can maybe start making a little bit more interesting content. With that all said, just kind of a long-about way. I don't want to, kind of continue to ramble on about the situation, but I think it's important to at least bring it up in a video. So, again, probably not something that I'm going to be talking about or going to be doing a lot on my channel, where I just kind of talk about my personal life, because I want to stay focused on the content that I am creating and not shy too far away from all the important details in the games I will be playing, and kind of going through some of the main elements and in-game mechanics that we're going to be kind of focused on. So, but all that aside, as you can see, we've pretty much made it like halfway through Dark Castle. This place is very long, and we still have a long ways to go. And also, I do want to add that another reason that I enjoy doing this is because I think it does act as a way to communicate with other people. And I kind of have lived a very sheltered life for most of my lifetime. And I think that even just putting videos out like this on the internet, onto YouTube, where other people can interact with it, they can respond to it, they can view it, engage with it. I think those are tools that can improve social life for many people, including myself. I think it's just a nice tool to be able to use to, connect with people, even if it's just guiding them through certain levels of certain video games, or something as simple as that, or again, just adding another channel of communication and socialization, because I think that's something we do not get in this world enough today. And I think there's, technology, social media, video games, whatever you want to call it, that may be the reason why we don't communicate with one another in person. I think, it could definitely be a big part of that, but I still think it's important to, communicate, build some form of community, and be able to still feel the need to interact with one another. So, but enough of me, kind of rambling on here. I know I've talked a lot about my personal life for most of the video already. And we'll kind of try to get focused back onto the game, see if we can go ahead and finish out the Dark Castle in the best way possible. As you can see, this place is it's pretty straightforward. I have to say, honestly, for this being the final level of the game, I will say that a lot of these stages that you have are very short, very straight to the point. I think a lot of the challenging factors we've pretty much already passed at this point in the game. And even though this is the longest level of the entire game, with it being the final one, it only makes sense. But I think for the most part, it is pretty straightforward. Now we're going to move right along, and we are just about done with, I think we're in stage 6 now. We've been doing these stages for so long now, I've kind of, and I've also obviously been rambling on about some personal stuff. It's been quite some time, and I have kind of gotten distracted. Alright, so as you can see, if we go into this room, there's another room just across from it that has a bunch of 1-ups. We want to actually go into this door on top. We take out that sword enemy, we have Kine that will be released from a bag right here. Then we can move forward, even though I probably am not going to need Kine for this section. So now if we go down in the store, we saw those 1-ups, they are not here. So this is actually something I have never figured out. And if anybody maybe in the comments or maybe if you're watching this and you played this game before, if you have any idea on how to get those 1-ups, that would be awesome if you could share that, because I have never figured it out as many times as I've played this game. Because if you notice, we go back through the same door we just went through. Take out that enemy again. He will release Ku this time. And then you notice those 1-ups were now on the opposite side of the room, or the opposite room that was across from us. Well, if we go back in there, yeah, they're still on the opposite side. So there's a doorway that we have to go into that leads us into that room with the 1-ups, and I just, for the life of me, cannot figure out which one it is. So kind of weird, interesting, but again, if you know how to do that, please let me know. Maybe I'm doing something obviously wrong, and as you see right there, they have moved again. So I'm going to kind of pass on those. We don't really need them. Obviously, we're at 44 extra lives, so not very necessary. Moving right along, want to get through the rest of this stage. And yeah, obviously we still have one more rainbow drop to find. That's actually going to be located in the very final stage of the Dark Castle. So we're facing off once again with Blocky. We have seen this fight, of course, a few different times. Just want to wait till he throws his giant stones at us, and then we can propel those back at his face. Go ahead and take his stone ability, and it looks like we are at the end of the stage. Very nice. Do a little jump inside of a fish's mouth. And we will collect our reward. Okay, so that was actually stage 5, so I did lose track a little bit there. No worries, we're going to enter stage 6. So just 2 more stages left in the game. I cannot believe it is already here. We are at the very last section of the game. Even though it's not a long game at all, it still feels like it went by pretty damn quick. Of course, we are now having to deal with this lovely mechanic that's like my favorite mechanic in the whole game, which is the air current that's going to blow you, or the wind that is going to blow you across the entire stage. This one's not too bad, I guess. Obviously, you saw right there, I got kind of stuck beneath that platform. There was a 1-up back there we could have grabbed, but I unfortunately was not in a good position to get it. We're just going to move right along, and now we move on to another side-scrolling section. So fortunately, I actually did practice this before recording this playthrough, so I know exactly which path you have to take. So in this part right here, you actually are required to take a specific path. If you fail to choose the correct pathway, you will actually end up in a dead end, resulting obviously in a death, because if you're familiar with the side-scrolling sections, you really don't have much of a chance to survive if you are stuck in a dead end and the screen is still moving left, because you're going to get crunched, essentially. But if you take the path that I just did here, that will bring you to this door, and as you can see, we just have to deal with Captain Stitch, and it looks like we have the end of the stage right above our head, so very nice. Captain Stitch, once again, probably one of the easier mini-boss fights. Just want to wait till he does his little typical traditional attack pattern, and then we will use his spikes as the ammunition to destroy him. Yeah, so not really a lot left to say about this level or about this stage. They really just kind of throw, several stages at you that are all very straightforward and, for the most part, in my opinion, shorter than most of the stages we've taken on. I think just kind of to scare you, to kind of prepare you for what's to come. So we'll go ahead and see if we can finish this off here with Captain Stitch, and then we will move right along into the final stage. So I guess I could start my remarks in closing as far as my opinions on this game and maybe this playthrough in particular. But yeah, once again, I think this is probably one of the best 2D Kirby games. I'm a huge fan of Kirby's Adventure, and I, of course, love the original Dreamland. But I think this game has a lot of elements that are implemented that I think made the series kind of what it is today. Obviously, including all of the animal partners, being able to utilize them, giving them their own specific attacks once you consume a copy ability. I think was a completely brilliant idea. And I think, obviously, the addition of the copy ability and of course, I think the landscapes are as gorgeous as ever. And I obviously know that the original was in black and white, so you couldn't really admire the color. But I have to say, this game just looks freaking beautiful overall. Even though it was a game that was released on the Game Boy, so... but now it's finally time to enter the final stage of the game. So this one right here is where we are going to find our final rainbow drop. We go into this door, avoiding those spikes in that little narrow pathway there. We will be brought into a room that is completely dark. And of course, we have those enemies that we have faced many, many times in the past. Just want to do your best to avoid them before... Of course, I jumped right there at the very wrong time. Typical of me. And you will now be brought into a room with a bunch of elemental enemies and a Gordo, and also a Gordo up there. So this is the room where we will actually create a pathway to get to the final rainbow drop. If you have never done this before and you have never played this game before, this rainbow drop is going to be the hardest you will ever attempt to find. If you have done this before and you know exactly what to do and where you were going, this is going to be the easiest rainbow drop in the game for you, most likely, because you pretty much just have to know exactly what copy ability to consume in order to break the blocks that are preventing you from proceeding through a specific doorway. Now, since I'm nice and I obviously know what path to take, and I've practiced this just recently, I will just kind of I'll make it pretty easy and just kind of give you the order of the abilities you need to consume in order to get the rainbow drop. You will need the fireball ability, then the stone ability, then the needle ability, then the ice ability, and then finally the cutter ability. So those are the abilities in that order that are required in order to get to the last rainbow drop. They will be able to break the specific blocks that are marked with the specific sign indicating that, or with the specific marking indicating what ability you need to use to break them. But once you have finally made it through the 5th passageway, you will arrive at your last rainbow drop. But congratulations, because you have now, if you have been following me through all this time, you have now finally 100%ed Kirby's Dream Land 2. We have all 7 rainbow drops. We have cleared every single bonus chance in the first 6 boss fights, in the first 6 boss rooms, and we have found and collected female GUI. So those are the 3 requirements in order to get that 100% completion. We are now just basically going through the rest of the game. So we have the final boss after this mini boss in this stage right here. Of course, this is Jump or Shoot. And that is it. And we are pretty much at the end of the game here. So again, kind of bittersweet because, again, I really like playing through this game over and over again. It is a very straightforward and easy game for the most part, but it's a very enjoyable ride nonetheless. So, but it also brings a little bit of tears to my eyes to know that we are already at the end and we're going to be moving on to other stuff. So, but right through there is the end of the stage. I'll go ahead and grab the parasol ability because I want to go ahead and have that upon entering the final boss room. And wouldn't you know it, we actually got up to the very highest point there, grabbing a 1-up at the end of the final stage. Couldn't be more perfect. But now that we have climbed to the very top of the Dark Castle, it is time to end this journey once and for all. It is time to end the darkness, the evil that has taken over Dreamland. And we will do that by entering this door right here. This is the last door we need to go through. And that will take us to our very last destination, the final boss. Let's do it. This is King DDD, the one, the only, the jack of all trades. This guy is traditionally the final boss in just about every Kirby 2D game. And this one is no different. So King DDD has pretty standard, has a pretty standard attack pattern if you've ever played Kirby's Dream Land 1 or Kirby's Adventure. He will perform quite a variety of attacks during this fight. One of his moves traditionally is to charge directly at you and to essentially try to body slam you. He also has a hammer that he will whack onto the ground, releasing stars that you can actually use as ammunition to strike back at him. Since he is under the complete control of dark matter, King DDD is actually technically asleep during this fight. And you will know that by just simply observing the fact that there are Z's floating above his head, like right there, for instance. But yeah, so he is actually asleep, and he is actually in a dream state and under complete control by the evil entity that has taken over most of Dreamland. Because of that, he will actually gain a new ability that he did not have in Kirby's Dream Land 1 or Adventure, where he will have essentially a fiery charge around him that will cause him to directly charge at Kirby. He has another attack where he will jump into midair and he will plunge down, revealing 2 stars that you can actually use, of course, as ammunition again. And it's important to wait for that attack to get into the right position, because if you can consume 2 stars at once and throw them both back at him at the same time, you will take more damage than if you just threw 1 star at him. So probably an easier way of taking him out. He's not a super hard boss at all. If you are very familiar with the attack pattern, it's probably going to be quite easy, even though I've already died once. I'm just kind of having a very unlucky time here. But if you haven't done this before and you're kind of new to this fight, this can be a bit of a challenge for you, I'm not going to lie. He is a pretty epic looking boss. He's, obviously a very well-known villain and character within the Kirby universe. One of my personal favorite characters in the entire series, but I have to say, fighting with him in these games is, in my opinion, very enjoyable. I really like these fights. I think they bring enough challenge to them without going over the top. I think this one in particular is probably the most challenging time you will have with him out of most of the games. And he's just a cool looking bird, he's just awesome. You can't hate on King DDD, even though he's asleep and he's really not in control of anything he's doing right now. But in the end, there can only be one true hero. But now comes the true final fight of the game. This is Dark Matter. This is the final boss, the true final boss of the adventure. He will have 2 phases. This is his first phase, where he will take the form of a ninja-looking guy with a sword. If you have collected all 7 rainbow drops, this will be the only time that you will have the opportunity to fight with Dark Matter. If you do not collect all 7 rainbow drops, this fight will not happen, and your game will end upon defeating King DDD. So a pretty interesting little optional final ending here. I have to say, this is obviously a lot more enjoyable with having the addition of Dark Matter as the true final fight. So it's another reason why I recommend and highly encourage you go for that 100% completion in the game. Dark Matter is absolutely nothing to mess around with. He is by far the hardest fight that you will have in the entire story. He has quite a variety of a few variety of attacks that he can throw at you. Number 1 is what I like to call the shadow ball attack. Well, he will cast a ball of darkness using his sword directly at you. What you need to do is you need to actually use the rainbow sword, which is obtained by collecting all 7 rainbow drops, which we are wielding at this current time. And you need to use your sword to deflect the ball of shadow directly back at him. It will split it into 2, and if at least one of the particles hits him, he will take damage. This is the only quickest way to defeat him. You can just simply wait for your moment to slash him with your sword if he is, crossing the battlefield like he did just there, and I kind of missed my chance. Or if he is, just within arm's reach. It will hurt him, but it will not do enough damage to really count. So you have to really focus on that Shadow Ball move. We're going to try to do this with as least death as possible, but no promises. Damn it. That's right, buddy. You're not getting past me, not Kirby. Oh, that was cheap. He also has a beam ability where he will cast several beams directly at your head. You want to just stay up into one of the corners, either the top or the bottom, to avoid him. You will not get hit by any of those beams if you are in one of the corners of the screen. Alright, so we are on, I think, attempt number 3, 4, I've lost count. We're going to see what we can do with this time. This guy, like I said, is no pushover. For some out there, this may be a very simple fight, but for me, I sometimes struggle a little bit. But we're going to see what we can do here. We're going to cast his Shadow Balls back at him and see what he can do. He is going to do something else where he will pretty periodically change positions on the field, I guess in the sky, which is where we are. You want to do your best to avoid him and run the hell away from him when he's doing that. It can be quite a chore to do that because he does move a little bit faster than you do. So getting around, like you saw right there, I was kind of cutting it close. So getting around the map here can be a little bit of a pain if he's moving alongside you because you don't know exactly where he's going to go. He can be unpredictable on which side and what corner he's going to sit in and position himself in. So just keep a very close eye out for where he goes when he does that. It's not going to be the easiest thing in the world, but like you saw right there, that was a very close call again. But you just want to stay very vigilant. Again, once he throws his beam attacks, just stay in one corner and they pretty much will never hit you. So he does take quite a few hits to take down, so he is a very fitting final fight for this adventure. I do enjoy this. I love the fact that you have the option to fight him if you want to, and if you do not do the 100% right, if you do not complete the game at 100%, you can completely skip out on this entirely. I think it's a very interesting move for this game, and I think it's probably one of the most unique and creative choices for any Kirby game I've ever seen. Alright, so it looks like he just has about 2 hits left. We're going to finish him off, hopefully here very soon. One hit away from death. I still have 4 hits to go. And trust me, this is not even close to the end yet. Welcome to phase 2 of the fight. Dark Matter has now assumed a new form. He looks a little bit more similar to Kracko now, where he now essentially takes form of a giant dark eyeball with, not really sure exactly what is around his body, but he's going to use those particles that are attached to his dark round body to lunge at you. You want to wait until he does that, because that is when it is your chance to strike. This thing will do quite a variety of attacks on you that are pretty hard to avoid. He will cast this dark, shadowy laser at you. You want to make sure you are standing behind him when he casts it. So basically, whatever side of the screen that he is on, you want to get to the back of it. So basically, wherever there's more space open, you want to stay away from that part of the screen, because that's where he's going to cast a shadow laser at you, and it is very hard to avoid it. And as you can see, I've already taken a few hits. We might die right here. It's very likely. But waiting until he does that move where he casts those particles at you from his body, that is the only time you really have the chance to strike at him. We're going to give this another go. Right here is our chance, our opening. And yeah, this guy is pretty creepy, I gotta say. I think he is, I believe this is the same boss that does return in Kirby 64, if I remember correctly. And he's even harder in that game as well. But he's pretty menacing. Like, not only does he look creepy and intimidating as hell, a very dark, shadowy eyeball figure, but he has quite a bit of attacks that can do some major damage. I mean, he's not anything easy. He is the perfect choice for, once again, the final boss for this game. And I have to say, it's definitely makes it more epic that we have this rainbow sword, because it feels like we essentially transform into this warrior and we are essentially saving the world, saving Dreamland from the evil forces of dark matter. Very epic indeed. I love it. Everything about this fight and this ending is epic as hell. But it looks like he has just a few hits left. We are one hit away from death. We're going to see how this pans out. Wow, man, that was really close. Dark matter has been defeated. And that is it for Kirby's Dream Land 2. Thank you anyone that was watching this series and joined me on this adventure. I had a lot of fun. Honestly, this game is one of my personal favorites in the series, and it's just one of those games you can just kind of jump in casually and play through over and over again. I love it. I think it has a lot of replay value. And yeah, it's just one of those games that always pop out of my head when I think of, one of those childhood games that I really, really grew to love very quickly. It introduces a lot of new mechanics to the series that do return in various Kirby games later on, and I think this game has a really cool story. It's a nice follow-up to the first Dreamland game. Typical box standard platformer, and this game kind of expands beyond that. But that's going to do it for my Let's Play of Kirby's Dream Land 2. Once again, I thank anyone that was watching this. I had a lot of fun, and I have to say, as much as I love playing platformers, I think it's time to move on to something new. I talked a lot about how I want to expand out my channel and try some new things, and I'm always going to want to do that. So I think it's time that I take on my first RPG. I still, of course, am going to be doing a lot more platformers, so that is not something that is going to completely die off on this channel, but I think it is time to finally get to some RPGs. Now, going back into the title screen, as you can see, we have acquired 100% completion. Pretty nice to see that. And in the level select menu, as you can see, we have every single rainbow drop sitting on each of the different worlds. And that's it. Again, thanks for watching. Join me next time when we take on the first RPG on this channel. And don't worry, I am going to do Kirby's Dream Land 3 at some point. I just want to take a little bit of a break from Kirby for now and kind of space things out to prevent any possible burnout on my channel. But that game still will be done in the future to round out the Kirby's Dream Land series. This is J Guy Plays, powering off.